What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, break it down on what's moving it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is down 3.04%, roughly around 40 minutes left in the trading day. Over this last 15 minutes, it has really done a nice push higher, bouncing off of that general 50-day moving average. So leading up to this point right here, it was showing more of a larger pullback was coming, but $5.30 the low, 544 is the high, and 46.04 million for volume, 83.7 is the average. So rather low volume, but you do see some good transactions as of late. So first thing, you had some selling, and then as of, it looks like 1 o'clock, and then 2, and then 2:07, you have some buying. So ultimately, these last two transactions were the culprit on what is propelling it higher. And interesting point though, this is how algorithmic trading is very influenced by usually shorts, because all it takes is 1 or 2 very large buys, and then the algorithms kind of pick up on something might be coming, so really propelling it higher. But until this point right here, largely it was just selling and whatever else. But shorts though, as I brought up in my pre-market video, have been returning. So right now shorts are returning 995,000 shares. 14.09% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 188.21 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of borrow average is 2.89, then utilization is 90.04. So in case you don't know, shorts returning does add buying pressure. So that's kind of the unfortunate thing about this, and actually looks like now they're returning 1.01 million. And so the unfortunate thing about them returning, it adds buying pressure, but it's not really countering the amount of selling that has been happening. So not necessarily the best. It's always good to see shorts return, and then as the stock price really pushes higher. But no matter what though, NIO's definitely moving in the right direction as long as it stays above that 50-day moving average. So I'll go over that in a second, but no official news from NIO, no SEC filings, nothing along those lines. Just a lot of good articles coming out about NIO being a very good buy at this stage. So this one, NIO, why NIO stock could be an incredible bargain. Even this one right here, is this fallen angel a buy? So a lot of people are just bringing up the fact that they deliver a shit ton of vehicles, pardon my French, and yet it shouldn't be at these multiples that it is at. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. Aside from that, it's basically, or aside from these articles, everyone is just waiting for NIO's numbers, which is coming out in a couple days. So this coming Friday should be the next big catalyst. And tomorrow being Thursday, you might see a jump up in more buying, as FOMO does typically come from that. But looking at options, kind of low dollar value, but 2 million in calls, 1.07 million in puts. 46% of all the options being done so far today are optimistic and bullish, and of the call options that are being purchased, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 650. So a lot of optimism is still lingering with NIO. So a lot of people are not seeing NIO down and out, and looking at the kind of the bears, they are anticipating for it to be sub $5. So in my opinion, still a little bit more upside, but it's kind of level ground. Dark pool has been very, very popular. So I normally don't really bring this up, only because I think the dark pool confuses a lot of individuals, and probably a lot of the other data that I bring up might confuse a lot of people. But on a side note, if there is anything that I do kind of cover that you want a little bit more further clarification on, I can definitely go over that. But these are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool above $100,000. So this is where typically shorts like to hide a lot of their transactions, as well as a lot of larger entities as well. So today's volume is very abnormal, so something just to keep in mind. But right now, with that $5.40, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So 612 is going to be the next strong resistance / target based on the fib levels, of course. So I don't anticipate that to be touched unless their numbers are really, really good on Friday. Flip side, $4.68 is going to be the strong support. And similarly, I don't see that being touched whatsoever, at least in the short term. But moving over to IBKR. So on the actual chart, so $5.40 is that 50-day moving average. You really want to watch for NIO to stay above that. And so if not, then this is where it could potentially pull back to around that $5.07 range. So that's where that 200-day moving average is. But I think in reality, if you take away all the manipulation, it's been following the technicals for the most part fairly well. So I do have the ALMA, 50, 100, 200-day moving average, super trend, stochastic RSI, and MACD. So MACD somewhat bearish right now. Stochastic RSI, because of this kind of run up, it actually pushed it from very oversold to somewhat neutral, if not arguably overbought. So even though today's consolidation is not really doing all that much to reset this, but on the actual chart itself, like I said, I think as of right now, you really need to watch for it to stay above that 50-day moving average, and that stem of buying that's been happening. So the last 2 or 3 transactions was able to really kind of manipulate the algorithms in a positive way to really propel it and keep it above that. So just need to watch for it to stay above that. Aside from that though, moving over here, you don't see any new analyst ratings as I have shared with you. So last one was done yesterday. It keeps still showing yesterday, even though it came out on Monday, $6.60. And that was an upgrade. And aside from that, no kind of changes for the earnings per share, revenue, anything like that. So I'll give you a quick overview of that once it does get closer to their earnings. But until then, we are just kind of stuck in limbo. So let me know your thoughts on NIO. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? Do you think, based on the technicals, it is going to break up into kind of this range right here? So this is this red line right here is that super trend. So it does need to get above that in order to really change the full trend. So roughly 630. So conveniently what I mentioned right over here, I'll give you an overview of this. So roughly around this pivot point is going to be key for it. So you really need to watch for it to stay above that. Similarly, that 50-day moving average in the short term, but hopefully their numbers do come out better than anticipated, and that causes it to go back to kind of the high $5, $6 range. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it is interesting covering NIO. I really got to admit that, because based on what they deliver, it shouldn't be at these prices, as I've shared with you, even if it uses the similar multiples as what Lucid or even Tesla uses. It should be at like double digits, guaranteed. But I do agree. A lot of people say it's not fair to compare NIO to American companies, and I agree based on that. But it's kind of interesting and frustrating at the same time just to see NIO deliver the amount that they do, but yet kind of fail to really break out. So let me know your thoughts. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing? And like, for instance, what is your predictions for the October numbers? Throw out some predictions in the comments below. But one final thing, take advantage of this promo because it gives you 8 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So that's a kick-ass deal that you must take advantage of, only up until November the 30th. But with all that said, appreciate all of you watching.